Welcome to Corporate Caffeine. I'm Dacia Coffee. As a chief marketing officer, speaker, author, copywriter, and three-time entrepreneur, I've learned a thing or two about influence and impact in the business world. So I want to share with you what I've learned about how to be heard, be seen, and be successful, and introduce you to the people I've met along the way who learned how to unlock their potential. Welcome to Corporate Caffeine. Today I'm introducing you to Terry Sullivan. He is the founder of BuzzPro and an expert at digital brand management and social selling. So basically what that means for you is this is your masterclass on LinkedIn. Some of you might have heard the quote by Zig Ziglar that in order to get what you want, you just have to help enough other people get what they want. Terry is brilliant at this. And so if you want immediate ideas on how to fire up your professional success, this is definitely the episode for you. Let's jump in. Terry Sullivan, welcome to Corporate Caffeine. We are so excited to have you.
And nice to finally meet you. I've heard a lot about you, seen you talking to Dacia in interviews before, and now I get the privilege of meeting you in person.
Well, that's I'm so honored to be here, and I just love your facility here. It's very nice. I love the technology. It's all working.
For the time being, it's homey.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed about the tag team here. You know, just the husband and wife thing. I think that's really
we're going to see how that goes. It's lasted for 22 years.
Oh, 22 years.
We're still checking it out.
We're still seeing if it's going to work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, it is very nice to meet you.
You as well.
It's very nice. And thanks for setting this up, and thanks for inviting me, Daisy. It's great to be here. I've been looking forward to this. You guys are quite the planners. We did this several weeks or months ago.
Yes.
And so I'm glad it's finally happening.
Well, busy people and worthy people who bring value are very busy. So you have to get way ahead of the scheduling. And so, when we were talking off audio, how many presentations did you do in 2020, meaning pandemic year?
Yeah, 163.
160.
How did you manage that?
2 to 5 a week, and sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. Mm-hmm.
So were you doing Zoom, I take it?
Zoom or whatever video
platform.
Most I got to be very good at Zoom, you know. Any kind. Some of them were on Teams, some of them were on Microsoft product, But
right.
And plus I present a lot to colleges and universities. So like the University of Texas in Arlington. They're my client. Last week I gave a Zoom presentation to 282 graduate students from SMU.
Nice.
I'm at UTA. I gave a presentation 2 weeks ago. So universities, and then a lot of business groups, a lot of associations. It's kind of interesting. Last year during COVID, I had taken Dacia as a international presenter, so she knows all about this. But it takes months, if not years, to get gigs to, give presentations to. So within a span of 4 days, I lost several $1,000s worth of business.
Right.
I had it all lined up, had tickets ready to go. And so then COVID hit. And so then everybody canceled within 3 or 4 days. And I said, well, I knew the only thing I had to do after that point, after everything shut down, was to go to Kroger to get groceries. So I thought, I might as well go ahead and present. And so I'm a big networker. I suspect we're going to talk about social selling and that kind of thing today. And so I just reached out to all my clients. I've worked with clients all over the country, and I really got to work with some of the executives from a little company out in Portland called Nike, which was really amazing. Emma Minto, they had big layoffs at Nike. They're going through a lot of changes. And so Emma was running, get this, I always get amazed. But when I'm talking to them, it's just like us, right? They're very nice people. But Emma was in charge of women's apparel for Nike, right? And so they laid her off, and right before COVID hit. And so I helped her land a job, and she is now running a little company out in Denver called Crocs, which is a rubber GM there, right? And so I also worked with Larry Levine, who's the founder of Chili's, and his group, and Nigel Thurler, and he's amazing. He just came out with, he's a PhD, and He was the chief agile officer for Toyota. So he ran all of their automated production companies.
So I think we have a pro here.
Oh,
but Nigel.
Are you done plugging? Hold on.
But the interesting thing about Nigel is he wrote a book. He was hired by Toyota to change. They are known for manufacturing, obviously, and so now they're going to get away from lean manufacturing. And they're going to a whole new process.
Wow! Wait a minute.
He kind of created
I
it
didn't
for
know
him.
that.
Yeah,
that's a big move for them. I mean, you know a little bit about lean.
Yeah, which is impressive.
Lean
in
Six
of
Sigma.
itself.
Yeah. Are you certified?
Yeah.
Are you guys?
I am not, but I've done a lot of lean, like work with lean manufacturing and cool.
Well, now it's his book is called Flow. It's available on Amazon. He sent me a free copy, Dacia, and I can honestly say, I didn't understand any of it. The only thing I could really get is his signature, right? But he wrote it with 2 other PhDs, and lean is a manufacturing process for, it's all about how you manufacture their cars, right? And everybody uses it in other types of manufacturing.
Yep.
But they got several requests from service companies, wanting to know more about how can we apply lean processes to our service organization.
Yes, yeah.
So, I mean, like... I talked to him. He's a very interesting man. He's from England, right?
Yes.
And he said, hey, Terry, he called me up. He goes, I just got this call from Austin, Texas, and they want me to present at this thing called South by Southwest. What do you think? Should I
oh, my God.
A keynote. I said, dude, you just won the Olympics, man.
Yes.
I said, jump on that.
Yes.
So he and 2 other PhDs wrote this book, and so he left, right, because he can make a whole bunch more money working for himself. He's amazing. I'll tell you offline how much he makes per hour. It's insane number.
So how did he convince Toyota to make that switch? Because that's their bread and butter. I mean, everyone knows they're
I think it's demand because, like, when I was working with him, he was working with the CEO of Frontier Communications, and his direct reports, and he had already kind of come up with the process, and they said, well, let's formalize it. And so he worked with 2 other PhDs and came up with this book called The Flow System. It's available on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, but it's pretty intense. I mean, like I said, I'm a marketing guy. I don't really understand operations. A lot of numbers in that book, I'll tell you.
Well, and it's interesting, though, because what you were talking about with it being applied to service organizations. So I worked with the American Manufacturing Association a number of years ago, and specifically with their champions group.
Yeah.
So, these lean implementers, these lean executives, just so interesting, smart, so neat to see the engagement on the plant floor.
Yeah.
But I had talked to some of the executives, and there were starting to be murmurs about they're applying it to HR inside of these organizations. They were applying it to the very human side, away from machinery and process and bottlenecks and all of this other stuff. And they were starting inside of these lean companies to apply, to ask the question, how do we apply it across the board? So that's so interesting because I'm like, man, it was a matter of time before it would leave the walls of each of those companies.
I'll never forget. I asked Nigel. I said, what exactly do you manage for Toyota? And so he was in charge of all the automated processes. So, like down in San Antonio, there's a plant that's like 96% total computerization in terms of building this one car model. And I said, well, why isn't it 100%, Nigel? Why don't you just get rid of those human beings? Okay.
The day's coming.
Well, just get rid. And he said there will always be a human involved in manufacturing.
Yep.
Somewhere, yes.
Yep. And I said, give me an example, right? What do you mean? He said that he can take one of his engineers, blindfold them, and have them, rub their finger against, a car wall, paint job, and they can tell you exactly what's wrong with it. They can tell you what's wrong with it without actually seeing it.
Yeah.
He said they're amazing, and he said most of them don't have college degrees. They kind of acquire this. So it's really fascinating stuff.
That's one of the things I love about those type of companies is they empower the people doing the work to fix the problems. Yeah. And so there is a lot of hire within. The culture is incredible. I talked to this one gentleman one time on a plant floor, and the executive leadership is like, ask anybody anything you want. No holds barred. You can ask them anything, and they are allowed. They are not going to be scared of repercussions. And one gentleman was talking about working for them, and when they implemented lean, it changed the fabric of his family. He said, I used to come home so angry. He said, I thought I had marriage problems. Like my kids were just bad. And, he's like, I was always angry. And he said, when I started coming home excited and they adopted a couple of my ideas and I got promoted, he goes, it's pretty funny. Or not funny. Problem was me the whole time.
He got lean.
He got lean. Exactly.
Lean.
But I mean, to see him so emotional and, people's work is so important. So I love hearing that there's just going to be a further distribution of, those principles into service and such.
To get back to your earlier question, though, 163 presentations and really met some amazing people. There were a bunch of other folks I worked with as well. And a lot of companies, a lot of groups, and so I was constantly in my office, giving presentations every, sometimes 2 or 3 a day. It was a lot of fun. But and what's really neat is it's led to a lot of business. Now, like the last quarter of last year was my best quarter ever.
Yeah.
And
wow.
Yeah. And then I went to Meeting Planners International and presented at the Gaylord Texan and Grapevine, and then they said, "Well, can you come back next year?" So I went back to Las Vegas last month.
Let me check my calendar.
Yeah,
that day.
If you've never been at a Gaylord, it's worth checking out.
It was great, and then went to Harrah's, was in Vegas, and Vegas was. I don't know if you guys ever go there. I've been there quite a few times. It's a presentation mecca.
Of course,
but it was like wall-to-wall people. I've never seen anything.
Wow.
I said,
what month was this?
This was what month is? Okay, this is like a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I heard they're getting a little tighter right now.
Well, I just. I asked the Uber drivers. That's how I learned all my intelligence from my travels.
That's the way to do it.
What are the Uber drivers saying? And they just said that a lot of people are not working, right? And so they go to Vegas. To have fun, and I just, but it was. I've never seen it, and they said the last 6 months or so was the busiest they've ever seen Las Vegas.
You're kidding me!
But Vegas was like,
I would have never guessed that.
I know
it was so much fun. Some of the stuff, a lot like the Titanic and a lot of the things that my wife and I wanted to see were all shut down, but they're all open now.
Now, do you take your wife?
Always.
Yeah,
well, I say always. My wife has a brick and mortar shop downtown Grapevine, Texas, called Roses on the Vine.
It's amazing. It's so amazing. And for anybody that flies through DFW, it is really close to the airport.
That was our number one pick of where we were going to put our office, and we wind up in downtown Fort Worth.
Roses on the Vine. You have to go.
But we were looking at Grapevine really hard up there.
I love Grapevine, and she's right in the middle of Grapevine on Main Street, and so it's you guys know, Dacia, you're the marketing guru, right? And but it's really tough to make it. A brick and mortar. The Amazons of the world are stealing a lot of share. And so, but if location plus on steroids, right, for retail, and so she's at a great location. So you've got the Gaylord there in Grapevine, you've got the Great Wolf Lodge, and then I didn't know this, but there's a direct rail system now, a train from the DFW airport right to Grapevine, and so she constantly gets new clients. Or new customers buying it's women's apparel, and yes, they have Louis Vuitton, those kind of things. But they just drive in. I've got a flight out to Chicago at 3, so they fly in. They have some extra time.
I know.
There
and
you
go shopping.
It's perfect. It is the perfect little airport escape. That place is just amazing. That whole strip is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We were just at the airport last week and had to wait around for a canceled flight. Well, it wound up getting canceled the next day. Well, we're standing in a long line with people to reschedule tickets, trying to get to California by the next morning for her to speak at.
Oh, yeah.
The lady behind us, her and her family were from Boston. And she's like, oh, my gosh, we've got to stay here tonight. I don't know anything about DFW. And I said, everyone here is going to try to send you to Arlington. Go to Grapevine. It's right up the road. And I sold her on it, and she had 2 teenagers. I was go, Great Wolf Lodge.
Yeah.
I was like, indoor swimming at this time of year. School's already started. You'll get a good deal. I was totally selling her on the idea. They're over there Googling, going, we're sold, and telling her places to eat.
I'm sure she appreciated that very, very much.
Because if you go to Arlington, you don't know. If you're not from this area, you're like, if I'm going to exit up one way or the other, you don't know, what the area is really like.
Yeah, I love Arlington. Like if I want to go to a baseball game,
Right.
Yeah,
or
for sure.
I want to go to the Dallas Cowboy game,
For sure.
or the attractions are phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you want to get that, mom and pop shop, brick and mortar shop, I want to go in a store and look at, Texas branded kind of stuff. You can't beat.
It's amazing.
Grapevine.
And it's right next to the airport.
Yeah.
Anyway, you guys are the speakers. I'm not, and you're probably like, what is he doing here? I didn't know.
No.
But I need to know, and what I've realized is we've had a few guests on already, and I like to know really nothing about them. That way I can ask the simple questions of like, how'd you get started? You brought up marketing in the past. I've known that much. I know you're a speaker, but how did this get rolling? How did this get started?
And I want to point out that it would be so easy for people listening to think that you've been speaking for 20 or 30 years.
No.
So I think it's important that, thank you, Kyle, that you do talk about what did you do in your previous life and how did you get here? Like, tell the story.
Well, Dacia has all the connections when it comes to this. I was just going to be on the production side and sit back. And she's like, why don't you join us? And I was like, all right. Anyway, I want to hear the
You're the nucleus, Kyle. Without the production, you can't make this. Believe me, we were talking about this before the show started about some of the challenges Dacia and I have had with being at a presentation, there's several hundred people there and nothing works, So we can definitely appreciate your talents. So yes, I worked at many companies in marketing positions.
Yep.
Worked at Verizon for many years, but I was responsible for many products over the years. I worked there 14 years, and before that, I worked for an ophthalmic lens company, where I was responsible for the proprietary lens products. So I got to know that industry very well. So I went from industry to 4 or 5 industries in my career. In 2010. During the Great Recession, myself along with 27,000 others were laid off. I refused to move to Basking Ridge, New Jersey. We have a ranch out in West Texas, and so I'm like, sorry, see you later.
Yeah, good choice.
Yeah, so I stayed here, and then I said, well, what do I do? And I'm a big networker, and so I met with 5 to 10 people a week, either on the phone or in person, and I'd say, Dacia, what do you do? And then I just talked to a couple keynote presenters and people trainers. I thought, I kind of like that, a whole helping other people. And then, so at the same time, when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I would help a whole bunch of people with their LinkedIn profiles, right? Help them get jobs, right? It's like, because I'm a marketing guy, and I thought, I can figure this out. And so then I met a guy who was a Harvard graduate, and he had all these SEO systems, right? He could, you could, type in the word plumber and be found. It was just amazing. But I realized when I saw his profile, I would go to his profile because of his SEO work. But when I got there, I didn't really know what he did for a living, right? It's like, okay, I found you, but what can you do for me, right?
Yes.
Right? So at any rate, so then what I did is I said, well, there's got to be a way to do both. And so I just started playing with it. And then there's, as you guys know, right, there's always a balance between SEO and brand, right?
Always.
And so, I want to be found on LinkedIn. Okay, but if I go to your profile and I can't tell within 3 seconds, who you are, what you do, and how you can help me, I'm gone.
Machine,
Messaging.
human.
Yeah. That's exactly right. So I figured out some processes and systems, and then I was hired to be a consultant for a social media company. And they wanted some feet on the street advice for LinkedIn. And then I did that for a long time. But then a real funny thing started to happen is that a lot of the people that I helped them with their LinkedIn profile, they all started landing jobs. And I'll never forget this lady, Lisa Woodward. She called me up and she said, Terry, guess who landed a job as CMO, Chief Marketing Officer with Transamerica out in Los Angeles? I said, you got to be kidding. I said, congratulations, Lisa. And she said, Terry, it's payback time. I said, excuse me, what? I was just helping individuals at the time, right? And she said, Every year we bring in our 1,200 largest clients who are business owners in the life insurance segment of Transamerica, and I want to bring you in. I want you to train the whole group on LinkedIn and social selling. I said 1,200 people. I said, and up until that point, I was presenting in churches, 20, 30 people.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
That's your first gig?
That was my first big gig.
Or first paid big gig.
Yeah. It was for me, it was really big.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. And so she said, well, how much would you charge? And it happened years ago, so I don't mind telling you. I said, I just made up a number.
Sure.
I said $7,800 plus expenses. She said, okay, well, just send me an invoice.
You thought, doggone it.
Well, you think it was going to be...
She told me later she would have done 12, right?
Yeah. Did you think there would be a negotiation on that?
Oh my gosh! So it's really it was like a dream thing, right? I mean, because then we went to LA. I took my wife. We were walking on Hollywood Boulevard. We ended up on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and I'll have to play that video for you sometime. It was it was fascinating. And I used to play the video all the time in my presentations because it was really cool.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, just the way it evolved and how they questioned me and what have you. It was really neat. But I thought, you know what? I think I can make a living out of this. And so I came back. And I got more. And by the way, when I got home, my answering machine was maxed out with people who were in the audience saying, "Can you come do that for my company?" Or
fantastic.
And I just presented. I said, "I like this." So I talked to people and kind of got a perspective of what it was like to be a keynote, a presenter, trainer. I liked the idea. I kept helping people, with LinkedIn to find jobs. Yeah. That led to business, and that's kind of how I created my model that I have now. Because I always present for free. I constantly present to organizations and groups, and I set up my time to where I can help people if they have questions.
Right.
And I just help people unconditionally.
Yes.
And then it always leads to amazing kind of gigs. Right?
That's something else, isn't it?
It really is.
When people leave the money out of it, it's happened with her where she's like, she'll spend 2 hours going and talking to somebody just over breakfast that saw her speak for free.
Yeah.
And then 6 months down the road, she'll get a call at a gig because they remembered her, had the conversation with her, and go, hey, guess what? Just like you said,
referrals.
We need somebody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I never do it thinking, oh, this is going to get me something someday, or this could be a potential referrer. You have to have that servant leadership heart, and that is one thing for the second you and I met, you just really dive deep into that generosity principle.
Yeah. That
this is the way to live a good, big, exciting life, and that's what I love because it's just so authentic and fun to be around you.
Well, thank you, Daisy. I mean, we both love to help people, and if I didn't have to pay some bills, I've got a couple kids in Austin. I got to help them out from time. I mean, I probably would just do it for free, but I think there's something to be said to being a servant leader and helping others unconditionally. And I always like to be the first to give, so like when I connect with people on LinkedIn, here's a white paper to help you do whatever, and I think that's kind of the way to do it.
Yeah. Well, you and I have talked numerous times, and if you guys, obviously you need to follow Terry, and I'll plug him at the end. However, you give away the secret sauce. You will tell the whole world on about any platform, well, here's exactly what you do. Here's exactly how you do it. Yeah. And it has never hurt you, has it?
No, as a matter of fact, I did that, Dacia, because I got frustrated because when I was laid off, I'm a lifelong learner, and I'd go to a presentation and they would say, well, in this hour, I'm going to give you 5 nuggets of something that you're going to be able to take home. And I thought, 5 nuggets in an hour? I mean, so and I'm really, as you know, I'm really intense in my presentations.
Yes.
I'll give you 5 nuggets every 3, 4, 5 minutes. Do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And part of that is because of my nature, I think, but also because of the topic. Because in an audience, someone that wants to learn LinkedIn, you have somebody who is super good at LinkedIn and social selling, and then you have someone who hasn't even opened up an account yet.
That's right.
There's got to be something in it for everybody.
Yes.
So I just here it is. Take notes, and I'll tell them you have to hear this 2 or 3 times before it'll stick. And by the way, download my LinkedIn tips document so you can read the Word version of what I just put you through.
Yes.
100%.
I mean, I just give it all away. I had I do this sales mapping exercise, and it was one of those things that woke me up in the middle of the night 5 or 6 years ago, where all of a sudden I had different client engagements, and I woke up just with so much clarity, kind of that God aha moment of, I know how to explain this to them. Like, oh my gosh. And I'm up 2 a.m. with all these papers on the table, drawing it out. And I'm like, yes, that's it. And so then, of course, I felt very protective of it. And it didn't take me very long to realize, well, what good is it just rattling around in my own head with, at the time, 4 or 5 private clients? Like, that's awful. And especially if it was something in some sort of, God-given inspiration, which is what I felt, because I definitely feel like my work is kingdom work, that it's awesome. got to be free. That generosity principle, if I'm given something, I'm supposed to steward that knowledge, steward that insight. I'm not supposed to be like, it's mine. There's
a lot of people like that, Dacia. There really is.
And you've got to trust that putting it out there is going to differentiate you, and people are going to understand, and people are too busy to do your thing, and your competitors are too busy to steal your thing. And even if they steal it, they won't do it like you. Like, it's okay, people. It's scary, and it's okay.
I mean, and I think people are hesitant to, I give them advice, right? And then I remember once, and they don't always listen, right? And they don't implement it, but I remember once I worked with a CFO, and I've worked with 87 CFOs in the last 10 years. So that's my number one individual niche, and then CEOs is second.
It's amazing.
It is. And they're great. But I remember once I worked with a CFO, and he was, looking for a job, right? It can be very stressful, especially if you have 2 or 3 kids in college. You have a big house payment, 2 car payments, a wife, or a spouse who may or may not be working, right?
Right.
But I remember talking to this guy, and I sat down with him, and this was a freebie. I said, I got to help this guy, because I talked to him on the phone, and he was like very depressed. And so I met him at my famous Starbucks. I did all my work at my famous Starbucks before COVID hit. And I talked to him, and I said, what was the last time you talked to a recruiter? He said, it's been 8 or 9 months. I said, you're kidding. Because I have this whole process I trained them on how to, connect with recruiters in their niche in their local area, and how to have conversation. And nothing. And so rather than me working on getting into his brand and, changing his keywords, that kind of thing.
Tactical.
I said, let me train you on social selling right now. Let's just get this going. And so social selling, it's a 4-step process. You got to find your contacts. You have to use Boolean searches to find them on LinkedIn. You have to send them a pre-written, personalized connection request, and you send them a thank you note with a gift. And then you pick up the phone and call them, right?
Yes.
So I said, right, so let's go ahead. And so we did the search, and we found, several recruiters in the area. And, he started to perk up a little bit. And I said, okay, well, great. So send them all a connection request. All 20, it's 25 a week is my social selling strategy is my 25, 15, and 10 social selling strategy. So you send out 5 connection requests a day, 25 a week. That's how so I said, I want you to do your whole weekly quota right now. Right. So he sent out 25, and I thought, I'm going to get this guy going. Right. And so anyways, he sent out 25, and about an hour went by. I'm helping him with his brand, and I saw eight recruiters that connected with him. I said, hey, look at that. You've got a big red 8
in one city.
8, well, within an hour. And I said, great. I said, well, send him all a thank you note. So he's all excited. So he sent him a thank you note with a gift, right? Which in this case is his resume. So he sent out 8. Hey, thanks for accepting my connection request. I'm looking for a CFO job in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Please find my attached resume. And so he did. He was so proud of himself. I said, well, great. I said, now I want you to pick up the phone and call all 8 of them, and I'm going to sit here and watch you do it. And he went, I can't. And I said, no, I won't make. I said, no. He goes, please, if you could just go stand away, and I promise I'll call him. So I wrote the script for him, a template, and so he called the first one. He got an answering machine. Called the second one, got an answering machine, voicemail, and then the third one, I was getting another iced tea, and I looked back, and he was pacing back and forth, like, oh my God! I said, he's got a live one, and so he had an interview right then and there. The next morning, he had a face-to-face interview, and a week and a half later, he had a new CFO job.
Yes.
So you were never in sales. You had nothing to do with the Wolf of Wall Street.
Well, I think, Daisy and I have Daisy and I have talked about that. No, I've been in sales in a big way.
Okay, I can hear it. I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah, at Verizon, the last big program I managed for the Verizon Fios product, which is their, voice and TV product and what have you, data product. I managed over 1,500 door-to-door sales agents between the ages of 18 and 24 around the country. And that channel was non-existent, and it became the fourth largest channel for Verizon.
Wow.
And it got me the Leadership Circle Award. So, yeah, I get Sales Plus. Yeah. And I think you have to be in order to, if you're just, I'm sorry to say this to my marketing friends, but if you're just marketing, go get a sales job.
Amen. Preach.
You can't really be a great marketing person. And Daisy and I have talked about this.
She broke her
you sold, and you were great. Yeah. You sold, right?
Yes. First half of my career.
Yeah,
my gosh.
That's amazing.
Long time.
And what do you like more?
Is there a difference? I don't know because
creative that.
Because I actually think, I know exactly, because the marketing piece brings out my creativity. However, sales does too, because it's about thinking of unique ways to connect with people and bring value, and I feel like you're in that same scenario, right? Because that is something I wanted to bring up is while you're super talented at sales and extremely well trained, in addition to natural gifts, your number one group is CFOs. People where communication is not their top strength.
Yeah.
Selling is their worst nightmare. Being unemployed is so vulnerable and painful. And so what you do is trainable. And I think that's important because I don't want anybody listening being like, oh, well, these natural salespeople, Kyle's been in sales for a year too. Oh, it's just so easy for them to talk about connecting with people. No. Definitely no, that is not true. It's just that you're sharing what you know and that literally anyone can embody this. And it's about being good to people and just opening the door.
Well, that's exactly right. It's about teaching people, how to fish, right? Instead of just giving them a platter of food. I absolutely love helping CFOs. And the way I got into that niche is I helped someone land a job who was a CFO. And she just happened to be on the board of Financial Executives International, which is the largest association for CFOs. And they said, would you come present at our luncheon? There was 350 CFOs in the audience, and I'm off to the races, right?
Yes.
There you go. So,
a lot of those personalities are the people who need it the most, though. They're personality types. And there's other ones out there as well. But for you to take a salesman and go, hey, here's how you got to go do it. They're going to try to do it on their own.
Yeah.
They've got an idea how to talk to people.
Well, Daisy, I want to ask you, sales and marketing, it's constantly morphing, right?
Oh, gosh.
It's constantly changing. And even like with my business, I'd get a prospect would reach out to me. I use a CRM system called Honeybook, which I absolutely love. And then I have a contact form on my website and they fill it out. And, so anyways, eventually I have this funnel and all these sales come in. Well, what I was doing was, I would I would have a prospect that would contact me in some form or fashion.
Yes.
My contact form, what have you. And I would, call them. I got to have, because I'm all about having conversations. Here I am, a LinkedIn social selling strategist, but I'm going to tell you as soon as possible, you have to take your online discussion offline. That's where you do all the selling.
That's the goal.
Never sell on LinkedIn. So I'm calling these people, and I don't know if you have this issue, if you guys do in your business, but voicemail. And so then after 3 attempts, right, then I send out a blitz, so then I send them a text message and I send them a LinkedIn message and an email message. Hey, if you're still interested, reach back out to me. And I don't know what made me think about this, but I thought, I'm not doing this right, because what made me think about it is my family, right? It's like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even hardly have any conversations with my kids down in Austin. It's all, hey, babe, how you doing? Text. And I thought, you know what? I don't think people want to talk. For whatever reason, they don't talk as much anymore. So now what I do is when I have a prospect, I send an email, right? But I immediately send a text message that references the email. I say, hey, I need to talk to you. What time works good for you? And I think my sales are probably up 30, 40% from where they were, just because people are more likely to text me a message rather than pick up the phone and call me or set up a call on my my calendar app.
Right.
Yep.
So they'll text me. I'll go, okay. And then I'm back on the saddle and I'm calling them. Is that your experience? Are you seeing that?
It is. I do think it's going to be a short window though, because people are figuring it out. And so, but email is it's abused. The inboxes are too full.
Yeah.
No one answers their phone anymore because all of the telebots killed it. I mean, my gosh, I get a new voicemail no matter how many times I block them from AT&T every single day.
Yeah.
You get your car warranties expired, even though
on a brand new vehicle.
Not true.
Yeah, or just regular spam. I mean, I'm getting like 10, 20 a week.
So we've been trained not to. So I do think text messaging is great. I'm a big fan of asking permission, just because I do think but you already are bringing value. You're already connecting with them, you're referencing other outreaches. And I do want to say also, I don't necessarily think it's just about text messaging. I do right now, and then there will be something else, 12, 36 months from now, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's the consistent follow up, it's 5 to 12 follow-ups to get a sales. 5 to 12.
Wow.
Guys, you've got to keep going. And I will never forget one client that I landed up in the Northeast. We did a choreographed thing. It was partial social selling. I had a lot of experience in air distribution manufacturing at the time. I still do, but I mean, that was really hot at the time.
Yeah.
And so we circled the wagons. I mean, I pulled all the executives. I connected with all of them, right? And would send them free gifts digitally. But then we also sent them fun free gifts through the mail. And it was silly stuff like fidget spinners and, with clever little marketing things about, we know how to get your gears turning on, your marketing, and just fun. But then in between every gift, social message, voicemail, and then there wasn't a lot of texting at the time, and gift. My close rate was unbelievable. And you know what would happen with those people that we closed in that campaign?
Yeah.
Every single time I finally reached them, they would profusely apologize for not getting back to me. A prospect who did not know me from Adam would be like, Dacia, I am so sorry. I've been meaning to reach back out to you for 2 months. I have saved all your voicemails. I have those silly things on my desk. I was meaning to call you. But they felt like they knew me. They started following me on social media, and there was an ecosystem of trust built around, and I just had to get a system in place that got my reluctance to hear no, my reluctance to hit voicemail, and feeling like people were slamming the door on me, but they weren't. We're just all busy. And if you walk in integrity, it's okay. It's going to work eventually.
It's going to move to, and if it hasn't already, the short video clips. We used a few of those in emails that we sent, or any type
video.
of... Yeah, but if you see the short video clip, you really get to know them, and it's truly personalized.
I agree.
There's no CRM out there or platform that can shoot those out, and you're like, oh wow, they're really talking to me. For sure, they're talking to me.
Thank you for bringing that up. I love those.
We need to get back to them.
Yeah, that's really good. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. About a year ago, I get a lot of questions from people, right? And so then, rather than me going back and forth and trying to get in touch with them, what have you, I use an application called Loom. Have you heard of Loom?
Yes. Yeah, I've used Loom.
Oh my gosh, I love Loom. Right? And so, I don't know if it has a sales application, but it certainly does have a follow-up application with prospects that have questions and that kind of thing. And I'll tell you the other thing that really changed my business. I read a book a couple years ago called The 7 Levels of Communication. I sent that to you, right?
Yes, I have it on my side table, actually.
Okay, by Michael Mayer. And that book kind of made me change the way I worked with leads and prospecting. You see... I help people unconditionally, right? But then many, like with Jim Woodward from Convene, he's a Convene chair. I helped him and I trained his team. Then next thing you know, he's sending me referrals. But the 7 levels of communication says that you should spend a majority of your time trying to get ambassador and champion referral partners. And I have 47 referral partners. So I present for free. I get some referrals there, but all my referral partners, I do 2 things. Anytime I have someone who I think could help them, I introduce them using the share command, using LinkedIn. right?
Yes.
So I did that with Dacia not too long ago, and she got a great client.
Yep.
So boom, does she remember me? Probably.
Oh yeah.
I've sent lots of people to you as well. So yes,
I'll be
of
honest. I heard about you. I think the first time she spoke with you, it was like, I met the most interesting guy. I don't know where it's going to lead, but
well,
I'm just going to just see what happens. This was the craziest conversation I had.
Yeah, I'm pretty crazy. I'm sure it was. But with the champion, so a champion referral partner will send you 1 to 4 referrals a year, and an ambassador will send you 5 or more, right? And so it's about 60-40. Most of them are ambassadors, but a day doesn't go by I'm not getting 1 to 3 referrals from somebody.
Have you wrote a book?
No.
Or are you working on it?
Dacia's the writer. I'm not the
Let's co-write the book.
I'm not the content person, but it really is amazing. The other thing, so I try to send them. I have one for Dacia, right? So when I meet somebody that I think Dacia should meet, I just go to my Word document, copy and paste into a share introduction, which explains the amazing talents of Dacia, and said, hey, you got to meet this person. Give her a call, right? And then I CC her so she can follow up with that person. So I used to share introductions quite a bit, and then my big. You tell me if it's a secret, if makes sense, but I think my secret weapon is in January, early January.
Drum roll.
Early January, I sent a thank you note. I've sent you one before, where with a $5 Starbucks gift card, right? And my thought is, I remember I have an insurance agent my insurance agent goes, man, I always want to be the first person to send out a holiday card. And I never told him this. I said, well, it sounds like a good idea, but I think it's pretty silly because if you think about it, how many holiday cards do you get? 100?
Too many.
50? I don't know.
Yeah.
So if you're the first, by the time I get the last, I don't remember that you sent it. So what I do is I send it out beginning of January. Here comes the good year. Let's get going. Here's a $5 gift card that they put in their wallet and hang, until next time they go to Starbucks. And so and then in May, right before June, and I don't know if you have seasonality days yet, but I sure do.
Yes.
But, I mean, everybody goes on vacation, whether they're going on vacation or not, in June and July. I mean, they just disappear.
Yep.
So I reach out to all my referral partners and send them another, hey, thanks. Send me, let me know if I can help you. Yeah, send me some business. And so that actually stopped, pretty much stopped my downturn, my seasonality in June and July, just because I stay front of mind with them. And then, I'm really, really, I'm horrible about this. We were talking about it earlier. I just really need to write a blog article. I've got 2 or 3 that I just keep changing them.
You just need to do a video. You don't need to blog
videos with them?
article.
No, both will work out really
well. I'd like to do both. I mean, what I've researched is that video rules. People are just, words are kind of eventually going to go away.
Let's just hack this. Yes.
Real quick, Hallmark New Year's Eve cards. New thing for business. You don't send the Christmas cards. New Year's Eve. Actually, Happy New Year. It's the last one, a week after Christmas.
Let's talk about what we do.
What's this card?
If you can find something even better. Now, it did not happen in the pandemic, obviously, because we don't have people's home addresses.
I don't know where you're
Which is awesome. But prior to that, National Cocktail Day, our company name being the Marketing Blender, on National Cocktail Day, which is a random day in May. Yeah, we would send these gift boxes to referral partners and clients and business best friends, and they are quirky, right? Yeah. I mean, there's something for their kids. There's little cocktail glasses. I mean, it's like something fun.
Well, this year's going to be big. I just ordered magic. I ordered some magic. I ain't going to tell anybody because they may not be on the list. Cool. I didn't order a lot of them.
I could not agree with you more. I mean, I'm Christian. Of course, I love Christmas, but no, if you're talking about business, it's not about a Christmas card. That's not actually serving someone. It's not delighting someone. Find something cool and fun.
Yeah.
Where they would go, you're not going to believe what I got in the mail the other day. Like if they're going to tell their barber or like somebody at dinner, that's what you're trying to aim for. I love something fun.
So Dacia, how often do you think we should keep in touch with our referral partners? Is it once a quarter, twice I mean, I just do it twice a year because that's about all the time I have. But
you have a lot, though. So for me, it totally depends on the number of them, right? So for instance, Bert Copeland, one of the best CFOs on the planet, owns a company called New Life CFO.
Yep.
He loves on his referral partners and teaches, his folks to do that so much. And it's just a really amazing approach that he has, and they're very intentional about this quarterly type of a system, and they really spend And, CFOs, they focus on numbers and, like what's the investment? And they spend a ton of time really, really trying to help their referral partners be successful. I mean, they will do anything that they can to help them thrive, which is such a cool, so they steward their knowledge in order to do that. So like for me, I probably connect with my referral partners in general on a quarterly basis. I mean, sometimes I'm really bad about it, but I mean, it just depends. Because if it's a small group of people, there's a woman that I know where she talks about having 3 to 5 business best friends. And so she touches them every single month, no matter what.
Wow.
And I mean, very intentional like you about send them business, make them successful, share the spotlight and all of that. So I think it just depends on your business model.
And your audience, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, did you guys actually meet through Convene or in Convene?
No, he only just recently got approved as a Convene speaker.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a recent. Yeah.
So Terry and I were introduced.
I don't remember that part of the story.
No, and this is not going to be surprising after this conversation. We were introduced via LinkedIn.
You might want to tell people what Convene is since we
was it LinkedIn?
Well, I know the first time. I think
Daisy.
There's a company called Kendall Financial.
Yes, but did we meet through Sydney?
Well, I thought that you were at one of Ken's Christmas parties.
I was, yeah.
And I thought that's where I met you.
Okay.
I think, but that was like, a gazillion years ago.
I know, exactly, because I wasn't sure. For some reason, I thought we met through connecting on LinkedIn and then realized that, oh my gosh, I know Sydney, your wife.
I bet you're right. I bet we connected on LinkedIn. That was probably before we connected on LinkedIn. I
don't know. Yeah, it definitely was before. So, I mean, like, we got reconnected or something.
Well, I remember asking Sydney, I said, now tell me about Dacia. Now, where do I know her from? She said, don't you remember we met her at a party?
Okay, that's what it was.
That's what she said. But I remember really kind of getting to know you once we connected on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So, pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Switch the subject. You both are public speakers, and I'm I'm way far away from that, and never will be. So, are you just a natural? No, I won't either. So, are you just a natural at it, or when you started speaking, you just gravitated towards it? And how's that journey been? I mean, or you just walked up there and was like, no problem, 1,500, 10?
Well, when I first started, first of all, I started helping people individually and who were looking for jobs. And then I said, I was helping a whole bunch of people, but it was kind of like a revolving door at Starbucks. Like I was in there every day, just helping people and looking for a job and before I decided to do my own thing. And then I thought, well, how can I help more people? So then I started calling up churches. I said, hey, can I teach this thing called LinkedIn? Back then, no one knew what it was, right? And so they said, sure, come on in. People are looking for a job. And then boom. And so then I got a half a dozen or so churches that just loved the whole thing. And they kept asking me back. And it expanded more and more churches. Well, then what happened is that these people started getting jobs. And they said, well, now can you help us learn how to use LinkedIn to find clients? And that's when the emphasis went from just digital branding to how do you find and connect and develop relationships with your key contacts and prospects using LinkedIn so you can ultimately take your online discussion offline. That's where you do all your selling. And so then I had to kind of change my whole, now I have 2 separate different deals. The presentation I have for job seekers, here's what you have to do to find those recruiters. And by the way, the 5 largest recruitment agencies in the DFW market are my clients, right? So I work with Babbage and Associates, John Casey and Associates, these 57 Street partners. I know that niche very well. But then my real lifeblood, what I really love doing is working with companies. And it's not just their, sales. I like working with the executive team. 2 years ago, I went to Uplifting TV. Have you heard of it? It's channel 339 on DirecTV. Yep.
I don't watch
But Charles Humbard, his father was Rex Humbard, the first televangelist. Look him up on Wikipedia.
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but here's how this works, right? So I gave a presentation to a job-seeking group, and this lady got a job at a technology company in Plano, right, Texas. And the CEO had a small networking group of 8 very accomplished CEOs, and they would always meet. And so they had a speaker lined up for this small group of CEOs, and that canceled in the last minute. And so the CEO asked his team, do you know of anyone who could give a great presentation? So the person who was at my free presentation said, oh my God, you got to talk to Terry Sullivan. He called me, and 2 days later I was presenting to this group of CEOs, and Charles Hubbard was in the audience. And it's a technology company up in Plano. They had all these big screens, and they had the rising desk, and everybody was, texting, and it was like, wow, it's very cool. And I remember I gave my presentation to this group, and then Charlie followed me out. He said, well, what do you think of my program? And I said, Charlie, what do you mean? I didn't know who he was, right? And he goes, and so there was probably 30 or so these big screen TVs all over this place in this big room, and they had him on it all turned to his channels, right? Probably to make him happy. It's uplifting TV. It's Up TV for short. And I said, that's your company? He said, yeah, this is my company. What do you think? I said, well, I'm going to learn a lot more about it now that I've met you. And so, 2 weeks later, I flew to Atlanta, and his company is built on the monorail system of the Atlanta airport. And I trained him and his two his two attorneys and all of his EVPs. It was phenomenal. But that's kind of how it works. So I shifted from working with job seekers to working with companies to train them how to create their brand, to train them how to use social selling, which, and the analogy when I'm talking to my clients, they're like, well, why should I learn social selling? And I'll say, well, it's kind of like having a Porsche out in your driveway and you don't know where to stick the key. What good is it, right?
Yes.
So it's really a Porsche, and you have to learn to drive it. And it's my 25, 15, and 10 social selling strategy. Oh my gosh, whether you're looking for a job or looking for clients or looking to expand your professional network, it works very, very, very well.
Yeah. I was talking to one of our team members, Tom, our digital content manager, and, we were doing LinkedIn help, organizationally for a number of clients. And so we were brainstorming on some new strategies for a client. And, I was trying to explain, you have to be the follow worthy. And, for this one client, they're a nonprofit specifically, we need a big idea, and people don't engagement metrics are challenging. So if the board is concerned about, well, there's not a lot of people liking our posts. I mean, we've tripled or quadrupled their followers, and they're like, well, what does that mean? And so we're going through, okay, this is part of an ecosystem, but people have to engage. You need to show your face. You need ideas that you're disseminating. And it was funny because I had an aha moment where I realized, put out a ton of video on LinkedIn, et cetera, all the social selling. And, from a metric standpoint, it took me years to get up to the followers I have. And I still only have 13 or 14,000. I mean, it's not, the 100,000 that you see of these other influencers or something like that.
Yeah.
And long story short, I realized over the course of the last 8 years, LinkedIn has probably been worth a couple $1 million, when you add total client value.
Wow.
But you would see my posts, 1, 2 likes, 10, 15 people on my live streams. Now people can't see what's happening in the direct mail or the direct messages, of course.
Yeah.
But, when we were talking about that and I realized the number, I was like, wow. And that is true. I mean, it has always been a hugely significant part
of
how we built the business.
People you attract as well. You're just not out there putting out content to be recognized. There are pictures of cute puppies.
Right.
Yes.
It's
that's right.
It's something that gets them somewhere. Like you mentioned earlier, it's the information you provide is usually helping someone or could help someone. They just want to dig deeper.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. And I think a lot of the people that I train, they've tried, social media and whatever their definition is. And so they get frustrated. They first of all, should they like or comment on an existing post? And the fact of the matter is, in LinkedIn, whatever let's say you're an accountant. Well, you're probably not going to connect with a lot of accountants, right?
Right.
So, here you want to demonstrate your expertise. And so if you like, comment, or share a post of an accountant, it's probably going to be a competitor. So you really, what I tell people is that you should like, comment, and share, or primarily like and comment on 1 to 3 posts per day. You don't have to spend more than 15 or 30 minutes a day on LinkedIn to really But at any rate, once a week, you should curate an article from off of LinkedIn. And you better come up with a real easy system. And I highly recommend Feedly.com, which is a news aggregator. Yeah. And you set up these, websites that have great blog articles. And I can find a blog article within 30 seconds that I like. What happens is people do a Google search for, I'm an accountant, tax changes for 2021. And they play around for an hour and they can't find anything and they give up. Whereas, I have the influencers that I follow using Feedly, and within seconds, whatever I want, do I want a social media topic, a social selling topic, a LinkedIn branding topic? And I find that, and then I bring it in once a week. See, if it's not like Facebook, right, or Instagram, where you want to have 25 to 30 hashtags. It's just very simple once a week. And you bring it in, you make a comment, and you want to make sure that you CC using the @ sign, 1 to 3 people. So, like I've got 21,000, connections on LinkedIn, and you have 15. So now that what we do now is we expand my potential reach to, over 30,000. And so you do that once a week. So that's really important that you, I think, is that you use LinkedIn just a little bit every day.
Yes,
consistency is, and then like, comment, and share on a few posts, and that demonstrate your expertise. And then once a week, use Feedly.com or one of the other news aggregators to very quickly find really great content. And by the way, Social Selling Index, do you know what your score is?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I haven't been on LinkedIn. I'm not the guy. I've removed myself from Facebook recently. 2 years ago. I'm horrible. I'm kind of behind the scenes.
I bet your score's hard. Well, if you go to if you go to LinkedIn.com /sales, right, /SSI. So LinkedIn.com /sales /SSI. You can see what your social selling index is, and it's a measurement of how effective you are on LinkedIn, right? And so you want to have a score in the mid to high 70s. I don't think you want to have a score in the 80s or 90s. I think, you don't want to be too direct, on LinkedIn. Right. But mid to high 70s is great. But it measures, how effective is your brand? How effective are you communicating? Are you connecting with the right kind of people and that kind of thing? So your audience, I highly recommend, check out your SSI score and get it in the 70s. I worked with the CEO yesterday, and his overall SSI score was 18. And I said, I think we got some work to do here.
Oh, for sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly. No, that's such a great tip. I haven't looked at mine in a while because once we did the work, I didn't need to.
I bet sometimes mine will jump in the 80s or 90s, but you do. It's funny. We call it social selling, right? But you never sell on LinkedIn. You've probably gotten those messages where someone, hey, I'm the #1 salesperson for XYZ company. Let's get connected. I go, no way.
You want 10,000 leads in a month?
Oh, I know.
No, people don't want to be sold digitally, right? You have to, develop, connect with them, develop a little trust and rapport, and then pick up the phone and call them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with all this busy time, what kind of hobbies do you have? Just off the cuff.
Oh my gosh! Wow. What kind of hobbies do I have? Well, I love technology, right? I'm always reading about. I can't wait to buy the next MacBook Pro, and I would love to get a iPad. But will it replace my MacBook Pro?
Oh my goodness!
I just can't stand it. And then I'm a constant learner, right?
Yeah.
I read probably a book a week. I just constantly love to learn new things. And I think, even in my spare time, I just like helping people. It's kind of weird, I know, but I get a lot of satisfaction out of, just helping people. And the more dire they are, the more I like to help them, So that's kind of how
people
it works.
like you make this world a better place. I mean, you're a connector with people. You like to help people. I mean, you live and breathe it. That's why I was wondering, deep down inside, I was like, what kind of hobbies does a guy like this have?
Well, I mean, I have 2 dachshunds at home, and I'm always playing with Freddie. And during COVID, I taught him how to fetch in our pool, so he's always scoring.
Oh my goodness, a dachshund in a pool!
Cute.
Yeah,
Speaking of puppy pictures.
There you go. Yeah. That would get some views.
That would.
That's pretty much it. I just love what I do, so I think that's pretty much kind of like my hobby, I guess. So
yeah, you're living
great.
your passion.
Yeah, living your
amazing.
passion.
Yep.
But what about you, Dacia? What's your hobby?
It's funny. I have been trying to build hobbies because I'm obsessed with work. Obsessed. It's ridiculous. I love it.
Yeah.
But it's not always healthy. My kids, I guess you cannot call them hobbies, especially now that they're teenager. Almost not. We've got one turning 20 soon.
Wow.
So much is focused on their activities and You know, I mean, Kyle and I will sneak out, go on dates every week because we're like, no, our time, we're done. You know, and especially working together, even just getting out of the same environment and just changing that. But I mean, I run and I do yoga. I don't know if those are hobbies. That's just
you run every day.
It depends on the time of the year. Right now,
Too
in
hot.
the heat in August, definitely no. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, but I do exercise almost every day, and I just started playing piano.
Piano.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's my new thing. And the thing I love about it, I have a hard time turning my brain off. And the thing I love about it is you cannot think about anything else except the piano.
The C chord.
And so, and it literally, like, when I come away from, even if it's only 10 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, I'm definitely in a different mindset where I'm like, okay, I'm unplugged. Or I'm good, or like I can feel it. Like I know that sounds so weird, but my brain goes kook. Like where I'm like, okay, that's better.
Now, is there a certain type of music you like?
All of it.
I mean,
so right now,
it's happy birthday.
Yes, happy birthday. Mary had a little lamb.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm learning chords. So I mean, I just played chords.
She's picked up a lot real
Adele,
fast. Yeah.
But yeah, it's very basic. You would not recognize it. But I mean, it's fun. I love it.
Oh, and a little word of advice: if you're working with somebody you're married to, or own a business with somebody you're married to, and you go out on a date, I'm going to start implementing this. We don't talk about work.
We are.
You have your dinners that you have to talk about work, but date nights don't talk about work. Or kids. Try that one out and see where it goes.
That's hard.
That's really
we're actually pretty good about that. We usually have to cross a thing or two off the list for work.
Yeah,
and then we
check
put
the
it away.
boxes.
Like when we're driving in the truck or something on the
that
way.
way we can write it off.
Yeah.
I had a friend that was a musician, and he said that the best thing you can do when you're first starting off is find a song that you absolutely love, and just learn it, and play it. Like Imagine by John Lennon or something. I just think to be able to play Imagine on the piano and sing it.
I did get to play that. I did. Like I only learned a little bit, but it felt so good.
That exact song.
Yes.
Oh,
I know. That was one of the ones. It's funny that you said that because I was so excited that I was only playing a couple of the notes. Like, of course, I can't keep up with the whole song, but I was so excited.
Oh.
Kyle collects hobbies. Holy cow.
Wait, this is a whole nother podcast. When I did own my business back in the days, I lived and breathed it. That's all I did. And I was passionate about it. And I thought, well, now I'll get involved with her. I'll just sit back, do the numbers. And I'm staying a lot busier than I ever thought I would.
I bet.
But I do like my hobbies. I mountain bike. I kayak. Every chance I get to do outside, I do it.
Hiking,
I mean, it doesn't matter. As long as I can be outside, I do it all.
We can keep going.
Yeah, you name it.
Yeah.
So are you an avid mountain biker? Like that's
pretty much. I haven't been in the last few months.
Avid / reckless.
Yeah, I didn't show you a picture of my face.
Grapevine
this past winter.
Yeah,
Matter of fact,
mostly Grapevine.
Yeah, Grapevine's a great place to mountain bike. One of the top in the whole state of Texas.
Yeah.
They've got over 20 miles of trails back there, all different skill levels. But you name it, I've probably done it. If not, call me up and we'll try it out.
Golf. Oh my gosh, I know it's endless.
But hey, it's been an hour. So it looks like we are going to have him back down the road to finish up on other topics. I don't know.
Oh,
We're
will
trying
tell
to keep
you one of the topics. I know. We are going to have to talk about systems because obviously you teach a system, but you are a system guy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Linear processor,
It's incredible. You're going to have to do a whole nother topipic on systems, even beyond LinkedIn and social selling.
Thank you. And Daisy, Kyle, I want to thank you guys very much for having me.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Well, no, thank you very much. And it's such an honor to meet you. And thank you for putting all the technology together. That's not an easy thing to do. And Daisy, thanks for all the help and influence you've given me over the years. A truly amazing. I mean, I just understand this little piece of marketing, right? And you understand this whole big picture, which I've always been amazed at, And I'll be sure I'll be referring more clients to you going forward because I don't get all that other stuff that you know so very well.
Okay, so what is the latest thing that you want people to follow you? How can they find you? How can they follow you? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you want to? Okay. Since you're all about gifts, what do you have to give today?
Yeah, please. Do a search for Terry Sullivan Dallas, and I'll show up on the first page of the results on LinkedIn. And when you send me a connection request and and just tell us what a great podcast this was. I'd really like your feedback. And, and then when you connect with me, I'll send you a link where you can download my LinkedIn tips document, which will help you do a deep dive into all those things that you should be doing with your brand. And, if you have a question or two, you can set up a quick 15-minute call with me by going to speakwithterry.com, and that'll get you to my calendar. I'd be happy to talk with you. And then also go to my buzzpro.com website and click on the speaking tab. And I'm all over the country now. It's really ramping back up. Thank you so much, God, for getting COVID behind us. And come out to one of my presentations. I'll be in Little Rock in the next couple of days. I'm going to Philadelphia. I'm going to California. So I would love to meet you in person. So connect with me on LinkedIn and check out my schedule on my buzzpro.com website. And let's talk.
Yes, you will not regret it.
Thanks, Terry. It was a pleasure.
It
really was.
Thank you all so much.
Absolutely. Well, onward and upward.
All right, everybody. Thanks.
If you enjoyed this episode of the Corporate Caffeine Podcast, please help us help you by subscribing. I also hope you'll find us on social media. You can follow me, Dacia Coffee, and my company, The Marketing Blender, by searching us on your favorite platform or checking out the show notes for the links. We bring this to you because we envision a business world full of meaning, connection, and prosperity for us all. Until next time, onward and upward.